Alright, so I've seen Batman v Superman 3 times now. I do hold to my first review. I took a far more positive tone to kind of counteract all the negative things. I think if you think this movie's a piece of garbage, you're a bitter, soulless old man. If you can't find any enjoyment in this movie, I don't trust you. But I will admit, I glossed over the negatives, and that's what this is for. I wanted to go through the spoilers and kind of flush out everything. Because while I reject that the movie was a complete piece of garbage, I will concede it was a disappointment. And it's also so frustrating because what is there is amazing, and it's like, if you just focused on that, everyone would have been happy. I don't really think this movie is as divisive as everybody else thinks. Because some people love it and some people hate it. I think everyone kind of agrees on the same things. It's just whether or not you let the fun override the negatives, whether or not you take the movie for what it is. I feel like when people ask the question, did you like the movie, yes or no, the question they're really answering is, was it a disappointment, yes or no? If you were disappointed and it wasn't as good as you wanted it to be, but it was still good in your mind, you're gonna go around kind of having a negative opinion of it anyway. That's how I see it anyway. But let's get right into it. There are a ton of things in this movie that make zero sense. Why does everybody in Wayne Tower need a call from Bruce Wayne to evacuate the city? Why does Lex Luthor say, we finally got you over to Metropolis, when he had a Wayne Tower in Metropolis? Why does Lex Luthor keep his important files downstairs 20 feet from all his guests? And why do his maidservants do nothing when they catch Bruce Wayne messing with them? Why does America think Superman killed people in the desert with bullets? Why on earth would the United States government not be completely for making kryptonite bullets? Who would let the senator block that little bill LexCorp made? You're telling me the United States military doesn't want a weapon to kill something that's more powerful than them, regardless of whose side it's on right now? Why does one of the thugs in the Batmobile chase need a line of sight where his javelin? Doesn't he know the javelin doesn't need a line of sight? Hasn't he played Modern Warfare? Why does Lex Luthor cut off all the fingertips on Zod's hand when Zod's hand is right there and he could just lift up the handprint on the thing? Why does the Kryptonian ship, thousands of years of advanced technology, they can clearly tell this guy is not Zod and just used Zod's fingerprints? Because it's an advanced AI, it's not like a fingerprint system that you can just fool. Why does it let him do the thing it tells him no one was ever allowed to do by creating Doomsday? And why does it just give him command of the ship because he's the first person that came across it? When Lex Luthor kidnaps Martha, why can't Superman find her like he found Lois Lane in the desert by just looking for her with X-ray vision or hearing her heartbeat pattern or something? Why does he sacrifice himself to save Doomsday? Why doesn't he just give the spear to Wonder Woman? Or have Batman hold the spear and throw Doomsday on the spear? How on earth did half of Metropolis become obliterated and the Daily Planet say dozens killed? Batman later in the movie even admits there were thousands of people dead. And the stupidest thing of all, the most frustrating thing about this whole movie, is when there's a shot when Batman has his mask on and then he takes it off, and in the next shot there's no black eye makeup. That's like the third time this has happened in a Batman movie. Come on! And these range from nitpicks to gaping plot holes. There's your proof that I'm not blind to the issues in this movie. But if we can switch back to the positive side, can we have another round of applause for Ben Affleck as Batman? He's so good. Can we have another round of applause for Jeremy Irons as Alfred? Can we have another round of applause for the god of sound, Hans Zimmer? My goodness gracious, those first two tracks, A Beautiful Lie and Their War Here, are like, I can't stop listening to them. You know, in the Avengers, they're all like,
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
We have Hans Zimmer, bitch. We had Hans Zimmer. Why is he quitting? What? He's like, oh, I can't find new language. It's kind of hard. I'm like, this is like one of your best soundtracks yet? What are you talking about? Can we get another round of applause for that Batmobile chase and for that Metropolis opening sequence? Get another round of applause for all the action sequences in this movie. For the Batman v Superman fight. For that warehouse fight, and for the Mad Max Fury Road fight. Batman looks amazing. That is entirely filmed in IMAX, and he's got like a Western duster and goggles on. Oh my god, I want that as a statue. And another one for Zack Snyder and Larry Fong, the director of this movie and the cinematographer of this movie. One thing everyone seems to agree on is that this movie visually looks amazing. And then everyone says, Zack Snyder, don't let him ever touch the DCU again. Give the rights back to Marvel. I'm like, okay, everyone says the movie looks great, right? So Zack Snyder did his job, so why is everyone blaming him? You want to blame somebody? Blame the writers and blame the effing studio trying to cram 5 movies into one. That is the downfall of this movie. We get another round of applause for the sound design in this movie. Most of the production work that went into this movie was a huge success. The only flaw in the fighting and the action sequences is this. You know, people are always going like, oh, you know, shaky cam and quick cuts and too close camera angles, that's just the worst. And it's incredibly frustrating because usually directors use that to kind of hide it when they can't do an action scene and they just have people kind of run at each other. That's not the case in Batman v Superman. That warehouse sequence, they clearly put a lot of effort into choreographing and stunting a really good action scene. So why can't you just film it so we can see it? The camera does not have to follow an elbow into a face with that kind of quick, like, I guess they want the camera to be mobile. They want the audience to feel the action. Everybody would prefer it, even if people who don't realize it would prefer it, and they'd like it more if the camera just stood still the whole time and just kind of turned left and right a little when Batman moved. That would look so much better. And I know you can do it because you did it in the desert sequence, and it was fantastic. This fight sequence is way too close up on Batman, and it cuts way too damn often. In fact, there's even a cut where the camera backs away, and you can see Batman head to toe, and you can see the 4 people on him, and he's going like, and he's like blocking their 2 hits, and then it like, what was that? And then it cuts back to the shitty, shaky cam up close thing. And I'm like, that was glorious. You can do it. I know you can do it, so why aren't you? Alright, and the trailers and the marketing for this movie. This movie had one of the worst marketing campaigns ever. Sure, the trailers all had cool music and they looked cool and they sounded cool, but you spoiled every single action sequence. You spoiled every single plot point except for the death of Superman. The trailer 3 that shows Doomsday, Zack Snyder's like, oh, we still have surprises and secrets. That was bullshit. That was bullshit. It was the whole movie. You saw the whole movie if you saw that trailer. And I have no idea how they approved that. Alright, marketing teams, listen up. Here's a new rule. Your trailers may not show footage after the first half of the movie. And you can only reveal story plot points in how you show the footage from the first half hour of the movie. If we know anything after that, you failed. And apparently you're like, well, you can show cool shots of stuff later and still not know what it is. Well, yeah, you could, but clearly no one's capable of doing that. So we don't place any trust in you, so just follow these rules, okay? Please. We don't want to know the movie going into it, alright? It seems like that's a given. Oh, he's the UPS guy. And what's nice is the more you think about it, all the problems with this movie can be wrapped up into one thing. Look at the title. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I thought about it a lot, and there is not a way to improve this movie without completely axing Wonder Woman, Doomsday, the Justice League, Lex Luthor, all of that. I imagine everybody in America, including people who liked the movie, would have much rather preferred a smaller personal story about the conflicting ideals of Batman and Superman. That alone is enough for a 3-hour movie. This movie serves as a Man of Steel sequel, as an introduction to Batman, and as a Justice League prequel. And that is too much. Look at all the people you need to follow up on from Man of Steel. You have Superman, you have Lois Lane, you have his mom and dad, admittedly small parts, but they're in the movie. You have all the people at the Daily Planet with Jenny and Larry and Perry and that guy. And then in addition to those 5 arcs, you add Batman and Alfred, you add Lex Luthor, you add Doomsday, you add Wonder Woman, you add the Justice League, you add Stumpy, and you add the whole political thing about the Senate and all that. You have 12 arcs you're following in this movie. That is way too f***ing much. Like, I'll tell you the things that are a complete waste of time. Lois. Lois and her little bullet campaign does not add shit to this movie. The only reason Lois should be in this movie is as a love interest for Superman. Even the Daily Planet stuff. You can keep the Daily Planet stuff because it's fuel for Clark Kent and his motivations against Batman. Stumpy adds nothing to that story. We have like 5 scenes with Stumpy and like Lex Luthor, and we have to add this whole side plot. You could have cut all that and just started with him in the Capitol building talking about how he doesn't like Superman. Even Lex Luthor, Batman and Superman already have reasons for fighting each other. Lex Luthor, regardless of how you see his interpretation in this movie, has no place in it. I'll say, I didn't mind his interpretation as much as everybody else. I like the idea of a younger teenage Lex Luthor, like when he's first playing basketball and the thing, and when he's like, will you step into my office please? And he just like sits down on a bench, is like, okay, how may I help you? That was funny. When he sticks the Jolly Rancher in the guy's mouth, that was funny. But when he's fidgeting and twitching out like an ADHD, OCD, Asperger's syndrome guy with autism, it's too much. And in my other review, I said I had more to talk about on this. Like Bryan Cranston, we were always talking about Bryan Cranston would have been awesome Lex Luthor. Because, you know, in this movie, he's constantly alluding to his dad. My dad said this, my dad said that. I'm thinking, okay, you got a way to save this, DC. In the future Superman or Batman movies, or in the prequels with Batman, have Lex Luthor's dad show up and have him be played by Bryan Cranston and have Batman, like, kick the ass out of him or something. You set up great motivations for Batman and Superman fighting. Batman's like, that guy's an alien, he killed people in Metropolis, regardless of whether he's good or evil now, I'm Batman, I'm prepared, I don't take chances. I'd rather kill him, be unfair to one guy, than risk damage coming to millions of people. That is very harsh and unfair against Superman, but it works. It's a good motivation for Batman. Superman has the same things. Like, Batman, you are not the law, you're just a guy. Like, Batman, you're not the law, you're just a guy. You don't have any right to do what you're doing. If society lets vigilante justice rule it, you have no law and order. Admittedly, that's not a new motif with Batman, but it works. It's like both men now have a really good reason for fighting each other. And then Lex Luthor kidnapped my mom. I don't like how the fight started. I do like how the fight ended. And I know people are split on this. You know, it's when Batman's got his foot against his throat and Superman's like, you're letting them kill Martha. Batman's like, what does that mean? Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name? Why didn't you just say Mom? What boy calls his mother by her first name? But in that moment, Batman has a realization. Superman's a guy. Like he was saying, like, Superman, you're an alien, you're not a human, you don't get rights, I don't have to treat you like a human. Batman's essentially racist. But in this moment, he realizes Superman has a mother. I had a mother. And it snaps him out of his rampage that he's been killing people the whole movie. So yeah, that's the other thing. Batman kills. I don't mind. I imagine they'll explore that, and I hope they'll explore that in the Batman solo prequel movie that comes out. At least I assume it's a prequel. I feel like it kind of has to be. Because this takes place very late in the Batman lore, so all the Jason Todd Joker stuff's already happened and over with. So if we have a prequel movie showing why Batman snaps and just doesn't care about killing people anymore, I'm okay with that. And that's why Batman's like, alright, you know what? I'm gonna make you a promise. Martha won't die tonight. It's like it happened to me. That shit is not happening again. And that's why Batman doesn't give a shit if he kills bad guys. And something else I really like about this movie is the whole political thing with Superman. People are like, oh, this movie had no joy in it. It could have used some jokes. There was a joke. Remember when Martha's like, you're a friend of my son's? It's like that. That was a joke, alright? Shut up. Watch the movie. It's a very, comparatively to Marvel, grounded and realistic take on superheroes. I mean, Marvel's about to make that jump with Civil War, but Batman made it first.